Dear racing fans, we've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, high stakes, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, we can't wait to welcome you back this fall. Love, Keeneland.
And a good Friday night, everybody. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast for closing day Saturday, October 25th, day 17 of 17. We have hit the end of the road. For me, my 35th consecutive meet, handicapping every race for Keeneland and Keeneland.com, and several years now doing this podcast each and every night. I did a loose word count the other day. I do a document with the daily blog that I put up on Keeneland.com. And so I just continue it each day and keep rolling. More than 25,000 words this meet written about Keeneland, and project that over the last 35 meet. That's 850,000 approximately words written about Keeneland over the last 17, 18 years. War and Peace was about 580,000 words. So read War and Peace and then work backwards and get about halfway through the book. And that's what we've cranked out about Keeneland over the years. And still with all that, today we get humbled like a handicapper will in this game. I could not have been more wrong about almost every single race on the card. That's the game we play when we're trying to predict what these horses are going to do in circles. It was not a good handicapping day today. We've been handicapping pretty well over the past couple of days and had a good feel for it today. Just nothing at all for me went right. But the great thing about it is that's why the good Lord invented the next race. We're going to get after it for the final 10 races on the card, or the meet coming up on the card for Saturday. But before we get to that, a couple items to let you know. Fast and firm conditions are in the forecast for Saturday at Keeneland. Temps in the 50s for day 17. We do have a carryover. Everything must go on closing day of the meet. A carryover in the Super High Five, the last race on the card, $23,280. So Toyota Super High Five carryover in that finale in race number 10. We'll tell you all about the card that includes 3 stakes races coming up in just a bit. Little review of what we saw on the track and to the meet at this point today. Congratulations in order to John Velazquez. Piloted admit the victory in the Valley View Stakes. It's the 7th win in stakes company this meet for John Velazquez. Does that sound like an incredible number? It should. It ties Pat Day's all-time record for a single season at Keeneland in a single meet for most stakes victories. Johnny V is riding 3 and pretty live contenders, I will say, in the stakes races on Saturday. He needs one more to beat the unbelievable Pat Day. I mean, if you're my age or older and you followed Kentucky racing, you know how dominant Pat Day was back in the day. I mean, he just racked up everything. And so you beat any riding record around the country, you've done something of accomplishment. You break one of Pat Day's records in Kentucky, you know you have done something for all time. And so Johnny V matched him today with that 7th stakes win, winning the Valley View Stakes. The Valley View continues to be a pitfall for handicappers. We told you going into it, favorites had lost the race 17 years in a row. Make it 18, $20 winner, therefore admit another one, just a big price. Johnny V's got 12 wins at the meet. 7 of them have come in stakes races. So he's right around my age. I think he's a year younger than I am, and he's still doing it. I can't imagine ever being on a horseback, but much less doing it at our age as we are in our 50s now. So congratulations again, John Velazquez. What a meet he is having. As for the Myrtlewood Stakes today, Ian Wilkes, second-time starter, looks like a real prospect. A fine Chardonnay, now 2 for 2 after a big rallying victory in the career debut coming up the rail at Churchill, rallied on the outside and won the Myrtlewood Stakes and beat a good-looking group in there. So a good performance by a fine Chardonnay, a very patient trainer in Ian Wilkes that you expect with a 2-year-old to they're going to get better as they go. And so for a fine Chardonnay to be as good as he is right now, very exciting prospect going into the fall and winter for that one, a winner of the Myrtlewood Stakes today. As for the jockeys on the Friday card, 2 wins for Tyler Gaffalione, Jose Ortiz, and Flavian Pratt. So 3 different riders doubled up. As for the jockey standings, though, they look pretty much on ice right now. Irada Ortiz, 23 wins for the meet, 7 more than Tyler Gaffalione. So 7-win lead for Irada Ortiz. He will get the leading rider title. Now, as for that trainer's race, All three trainers in the mix for leading trainer at the meet all had victories on the card today. Brad Cox, Brendan Walsh, Steve Asmussen. So now as we go to the closing day program, 11 wins for the meet for Brendan Walsh and Steve Asmussen. They are tied with 11 each. Walsh has 5 starters on the card, Asmussen 3. Maybe advantage to Walsh just in numbers. As for Brad Cox, he has 10 wins on the meet, 1 behind, and he has 4 starters. So 5 for Walsh, 4 for Cox, 3 for Asmussen, as those trainers try to duke it out for leading trainer at the meet. Got a couple horses running back second time at the meet that I think are kind of live here on this final program. We've only had 2 what I call run back winners at the meet. Horses running back second time. Vicky Oliver had one during week 3. It came back quickly. And then yesterday, Steve Asmussen's winner was a run back horse who had run a couple weeks ago at the meet. So only 2 of them. I mean, generally we see 4, 5, 6 of those during a closing week. And it just hasn't come to fruition now. And that's one of those stats that's kind of changing over the years. As trainers go for more time between races, you don't see the run back winners at Keeneland that we used to see in the fall. And as the Kentucky purse structure has greatly changed because of the historical racing and that shared revenue around the state and the handle and the purses, the urgency to run the last week of Keeneland or the first week of Churchill isn't quite the same as it once was in terms of purse and prestige. So you don't have to cram races at the end of the Keeneland meet like owners, trainers might have done somewhat in the past. So we're seeing fewer and fewer of those run back winners second time at the meet, but we did have one today for trainer Steve Asmussen. All right, let's get talking about this Saturday card, day 17. Again, carryover in the Super High 5. 10 race program, so no overlap in the pick 5s. Here's the way the snapshot of the card looks for the final day of racing. In these 10 races we have for you, the early pick 5 will be the first 5. The late pick 5 will be races 6 through 10. Final 5 on the card. Early pick 4, 2 through 5, as usual. Late pick 4, 7 through 10. The pick 6 starts in race number 5. It was hit today, no carryover, but it will be a mandatory payout. So if you hit 5 of 6, and that's the best there is, so it's not a bad day to take a shot at the pick 6, but with no carryover, certainly the enticement not nearly as much. The turf pick 3 will be on races 5, 8, and 10. One of those, including in between, is the Bryan Station Stakes on the grass. Key plays for me are going to be on races 5, 9, and 10. We'll make you stick around to the end of the meet. There's some plays earlier on the program I'm a little less confident about, but I've got some later in the day that I'm really kind of interested in. And as you can see, like a late pick 5 that has 2 key plays on it makes me feel a little bit better, maybe about playing the multi-race wagers towards the back half of the card. Again, Toyota Super High 5 in race number 10, that carryover, $23,280. Stakes features the Bowman Mill for the 2-year-old sprinters, the Bryan Station for the 3-year-olds on the turf, and the Fayette Stakes for the older horses in the handicap division on the main track at 1 1/8 miles. And the Fayette Stakes has a very interesting runner, not only the defending champ in that race, but he's also this year's Dubai World Cup winner. It's nice to see Hit Show back at Keeneland. A couple years ago, Hit Show's 5 now, but 3 years ago as a 2-year-old, he was a very promising maiden winner here during the fall meet. Maybe it was an allowance race. Memory slips a little, but I know he won on an undercard and kind of set himself up as maybe a 3-year-old to kind of watch in the Triple Crown season the next year. So Hit Show through and through has been Keeneland since the beginning, if you will, from his 2-year-old season to last year at 4, winning the Fayette, and back here at age 5. So great to see him back in action. Let's get handicapping, shall we? Let's go to the handicapper selectors box. You can download and print this at Keeneland.com. Look for the handicappers consensus, and that's where you can find it. We're going to start off in race number 1 with number 3, Romantic Dancer, as our top choice in here. This one's going to stretch out from a sprint to a route, but a horse for course for sure. Rick Dutrow trains this one, who has 2 starts at Keeneland, 2 victories. One of those came in a maiden claiming race back in October of 2024 during the fall meet, and now runs back second time at the meet after winning in allowance non-winners, or claiming non-winners of 2 last time out back on October 17th. I said I like some of these run back second time at the meet on this particular program, and we're going to start off with one in here. Again, Romantic Dancer, 2 for 2 on the stretch out, in good form. Not much speed from the 1 in here. Maybe the 2 Oratium shows a little bit of pace, but the 4 on the outside of that runner has no speed at all. The 5, the 6 may show a little bit of pace. pace. This doesn't look like a race with an overwhelming amount of gas in here. So I like the 3 in here, Romantic Dancer with a good post. The obvious horse to beat in here, coming off a win in Starter Allowance Company, is Colonial Rose for Norm Cassie. Norm's looking to get over the hump here at the meet. I thought he's had some live-looking horses on paper that haven't fired to this point. Jose Ortiz will ride Colonial Rose. Should be up near in the tempo, but not necessarily on the lead. So what I like about the post position difference is here at a mile and a 16th, short run to the first turn, short run to the wire using the 16th pole finish line. A little bit of inside pace from Romantic Dancer. Has an advantage over outside pace in Colonial Rose. Give me the 3:10 in race number 1. And I don't know, maybe you could use the 9 Savannah Maria, horse who's run well over the track in the past. But the layoffs since May, look, a lot of horses win off layoffs in today's day and age. They're not automatic tosses like they might once have been. And if you look at this horse from November to April off the layoff, won right here at the meet at Keeneland in the past. So I think the 9's one you want to kind of get in your mix as well. 3, 10, and 9. I think you could go 3 deep in here in the multi-race wagers, and you wouldn't get a big argument from me. As for the other handicappers in here, number 2, Oratorium is the pick for Scott, and Mercy Warren is the top choice in here for Kim. That was the other one I had, 3, 10, 9, 6. If you're getting a little bit deeper in there, Mercy Warren for Joe Sharp. Sharp hasn't had the kind of meet I thought he would either because he's had some horses in pretty live spots, but Mercy Warren does come off a race against similar class going 7/8 of a mile earlier in the meet, and another one who's going to try to run back with good form over the racetrack. So good options, couple different ways to twist and turn in this one, but with a morning line price, on our top choice in here that seems fair and 6-1 range on Romantic Dancer, I'll take my shot with that one in the opener. That kicks off the early pick 5 in a race where I think you want to get some coverage. So let's go next to race number 2 on the cards, Saturday's second race, a 1.125 turf race for the 2-year-olds on the grass. We haven't had a lot of these over the years. Now all of a sudden they're kind of getting popular this meet and closing weekend with a couple of them offered. In fact, this race was really popular at the entry box in race number 2, so it was split because there were so many entries, and they're going to run it as race 10 as well. So there's race 2 and race 10, a split division as we call it. That's when a race is set up in the condition book, kind of the menu for horsemen to choose where they want to run their horses. So many horses enter, they say, well, let's just go ahead and use this race twice instead of using another one that was in the condition book or on the overnight as an extra. So we get 2 divisions of this. So 1.125 on the turf for the 2-year-olds. It's an endurance test for sure, and you're catching all these runners trying something for the first time, trying to stretch out that far to the 9-furlong trip. In race number 2, it's going to kick off the early pick 4 in this race, and we've got a field of 12 with also eligibles. So again, not only did they split the race, but they had overflow fields entering even by splitting it. So a ton of entries here in races 2 and 10. In the second, I'm going down on the rail with my top choice in here, Burden of Dreams. I contemplated maybe taking a look at this one as a potential key play on the card, and Burden of Dreams gets gelded since the last start in September by Divisadero. This horse has 2 career starts on the turf at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Both times ran pretty well, 2nd and 4th in those races. The last time out, Burden of Dreams ran behind a horse named Signatory Man. That was a Brendan Walsh Saratoga shipper who went wire to wire in that race. So Burden of Dreams, you see the running line, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, was trying to chase a Brendan Walsh shipper from Saratoga. So it wasn't your typical Horseshoe, Indianapolis kind of race in there. So I think it's going to match up favorably here in terms of how this horse might handle the competition. The distance will be a little bit of a question for sure, stretching out after not being able to sustain the tempo last time out against a decent rival. Divisadero hasn't had many starters on the Keeneland turf, but those who have started have run well. So I'm kind of looking at this as maybe a little sneaky play on the connections. People are not going to bet Sheehy and McKeever here at Keeneland. I think we're going to get a price 12-1 in the morning line. Number 1, Burden of Dreams, of the choice in here for me. But if you look across the way, 4 handicappers, 4 different horses picked on top. I've got the 1, Scott's got the 3, Tom's got the 6. And to the outside, it's number 11 for Kim, Massachusetts. I've got it 1, 10, 8, 9. So you don't hear a lot of 10, 8s and 9s amongst that mix as well when you're talking about the other handicappers. So this is a race that there is not a lot of consensus to. Number 2, Maggie's on top, how was that? McGinnis on Tap, I guess. McGinnis on Tap is the 10 in here. Coming off a second place finish for Walsh and Gaffleone at Kentucky Downs. Horse has been beaten favorite twice already, though. So, you can look at this horse as a 5-2 morning line favorite and say probably most likely winner in the race. But also, you had your shots twice as the favorite, beaten favorite slightly in both of those races while running decently. One at Ellis, one at Kentucky Downs, so you can't blame the track per se. McGinnis on Tap by Omaha Beach, who's had a really good meet. Sire Omaha Beach has had, I believe, 6 winners at this current Keeneland meet, 5 of them on the main track, but has had a turf winner as well. That all of the horses by Omaha Beach seem to be running pretty well here. 1, 10, 8, and 9, the way I'm lining it up. And as you can see, there are other options in here based from the other handicappers. Another race, and you'll see that's why some of my key plays are later in the day. This is a race where I think you can kind of spread your wings a bit. We move next to the third on the card. Race number 3 is short field here. These are third-level allowance runners, non-winners of 3 other than. These are the fillies version of what we saw today at Keeneland. This is a 1.16 allowance. We had that third-level allowance race today at Keeneland. If you didn't see it, Chunk of Gold, alumnus of the Kentucky Derby and West Virginia Derby winner Chunk of Gold, had a nice, impressive front-running victory today for Ethan West. And you got to think with Chunk of Gold, if they're not putting him away for the rest of the year, Clark Handicap maybe out of that race. Maybe he'll go to Churchill and try that. Really impressive effort today from Chunk of Gold, the 3-year-old against Elders in the same kind of race. It's a non-winners of 3 other than allowance. We don't get a lot of these at Keeneland at this third level. And so a field of 6 in here. Again, these are the fillies and mares version of what we saw today with the Colts on the card. In this race, there's really kind of 2 ways it probably shakes out. Number 6, Our Pretty Woman's a solid favorite in here at even money. Steve Asmussen trying to get that training title. We haven't talked about him yet on this particular card. This is one of Asmussen's, 3 entrants on the program. Our Pretty Woman, even money under Luis Saez, comes out of the Locust Grove handicap. Has never raced over the track here at Keeneland, but by Medaglia d'Oro out of a Spikestown mare. This is a classy individual, cost $900,000, and she's run well at higher levels. Grade 2, grade 3 kind of competitor. She was second in the Fairgrounds Oaks as a 3-year-old. Now at the tail end of her 4-year-old season. A little bit question finishing on the back end of her races. She loses a little bit of ground from that last call at the 16th pole. As you look at the past performances, look at that last call and the next to last call. The finish call and that next to last call. She kind of loses ground a little bit in those races. So if she's not in front late in the race, will she finish the deal? That's a little bit of a question. Low Country Magic, the 5, I think, is probably going to make the lead in this race, and Our Pretty Woman will be in chase mode. Has got to get by that one first. Low Country Magic is a filly who's 2 for 2 at Keeneland in terms of landing in the exacta. 1 win, 1 second from those races. Number 3, Chilled is the one I ended up with in here. This is another run back. Again, we say we don't see many of these horses running back twice at the meet, but Vicky Oliver trains number 3, Chilled. And as we said at the top of the show, this has happened twice so far this meet where a horse running back second time at the meet is won. Vicky Oliver was one of those 2 trainers able to do so. Steve Asmussen, again, was the other, picking up the second win here on Friday. So Chilled is going to be my choice, dropping out of the Spinster Stakes. She was a bit overmatched in there, obviously, in a field of 5, ran last at 47-1. Gin, Nitrogen, they're heading off to the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Scylla, I believe, cutting back to go in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. So 3 Breeders' Cup runners were ahead of her that day. She's back in against more likable company, if you will, and I think she's going to fit well in here. Johnny V riding like his hair's on fire, so I give Chilled the real chance in here. And look back at the spring meet. Chilled ran twice during the April 2025 meet here at Keeneland. Won the first time out, was disqualified from that race for lugging out. Ran back the second time and ran equally well. A good second place finish on the return effort. Chilled is a horse who can run back on the short rest. We saw it on shorter rest in the past. So this can be repeated, in terms of the form. So I gave number 3, Chilled, the shot in here at 6-1. Again, the most likely winner is probably the 1 or the 6 in here, Our Pretty Woman. But again, if she doesn't get the lead, she hasn't been necessarily a knockout puncher. So we're kind of hoping in here that Low Country Magic does the dirty work and makes Our Pretty Woman work hard for it. If that's the case, maybe Johnny V and Chilled get the last laugh. Give me 3, 6, and 1. I contemplating making this a key play of the day, but there's a lot of respect for Our Pretty Woman in here in terms of the class. And so she's going to be difficult to beat beat. But I would not go any deeper than 2 deep in here. 3 and 6. The only 2 I would use in the multi-race wagers. But if you get that 6-1 morning line, there is no shame at all in taking a shot in here with Chilled. To the 4th race we go next up. No new wagers will get underway here in the 4th race. It's a maiden claimer, $150,000 maiden claiming level, 6 furlongs for the 2-year-olds, just a touch below the maiden special weight level. And as you see, if you look down through your past performances, it's essentially a maiden special weight race. Of all the horses who have run in this race, they all come out of a maiden special, except number 10, Easy Kiss, who ran for this $150,000 claiming tag when the beaten favorite at Churchill back in September. That's a Steve Asmussen trainee. Again, Asmussen trying to get that training title here at Keeneland. What a year it's been for him. He went over 11,000 career wins a couple of weeks ago in a race at Remington Park, and 11,000 wins for Steve Asmussen makes him in a club of 1. Nobody else has come close to winning 11,000, and he's on his way towards that next milestone. Asmussen could get the training title here at Keeneland with a big day on Saturday. One of his chances, number 10, Easy Kiss in this particular spot. But I didn't go with Easy Kiss on top. I used the 10, but I'm going to go with number 9 in here as my top choice. Let's Chance It. Let's Chance It is 15-1 in the morning line. This is the horse who comes off a 5th place finish in a good maiden special weight race last time out at Churchill. Pryor had a couple good seconds for Aaron West at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Good workout here, 47-1, breezing on October 13th to tune up for this race. Now, I will say, when I picked Let's Chance It, one of the reasons I liked the horse quite a bit was the press and fade in the race last time out behind a horse named Counting Stars. I was absolutely convinced that Counting Stars was really, really good, to the point that that was my best bet on the card today in the Myrtlewood Stakes. She didn't run good. She ran terrible. So that kind of takes my enthusiasm away from Let's Chance It a bit. I make my handicapping and I do all my work a couple days in advance, but I don't lock down on who my key plays are until we're getting very close to podcast time here, and when I come out and deliver it to you, because I want to see how things have shaken out, any adjustments I might want to make. I never want to kind of go and tell you I'm all in on a horse or a situation and not be. So I was considering making Let's Chance It one of my key plays on the card, and then the performance today was just dreadful from Counting Stars. Now, maybe we're comparing apples and oranges with that. Maybe that Counting Stars just didn't come out of that race very well, and that's why she ran so poor today. Maybe she's not nearly as good as I thought she was, and that would make Let's Chance It probably less attractive in this particular spot. I still got the runner on top, but would I hang my hat in single? I would have felt a heck of a lot better if Counting Stars would have came back today and ran off the screen and looked great in the Myrtlewood Stakes. But she did not. She looked just the opposite. So Let's Chance It, still a pick, but very tepid. Let's make sure we get a price on this particular runner in the morning line at 15-1. Maybe still a long shot play, but not one that I'm going to dive in with both hands. I've got 9, 10, 6, and 8 all under consideration here in race number 4. Let's see what the other handicappers have lined up for you. Number 6, Bad Audie. The 6 is the top choice for Scott. The 9, Let's Chance It for me. The 5, Gracie's Delight. The 11, Bella Street. Those are the top picks for Tom and Kim, respectively. So 4 handicappers, 4 different picks on top. Again, I went 9, 10, 6, and 8. I don't have the 5 or the 11 amongst those 4. That kind of tells you what we're looking at in this particular spot. The 5, Gracie's Delight, is Wesley Ward, Frankie Dettori, off since July. Certainly you would expect some speed from this one coming back fresh, but the blinkers come off. I would expect off a bullet workout that Dettori will probably be in send mode. I would expect the 5 to show plenty of speed in here. Kim's pick, number 11, Bella Street, for trainer Matt Sims, who's had a win or so here at the meet with limited starters. First timer there with a bullet workout from the gate October 1st here at Keeneland. What else do we have in this particular race of note? Look, I just don't have, as good a feel for this race after what happened today as I did going into it. Tommy Drury's going to debut number 7, Traject. Drury was the trainer of the stakes winner today, the Valley View winner admits. So that barn got its first win of the meet with that one, and always good percentage with the first-time starters with Drury. It hits over 23% with rookies. So Traject, the 8, the 4th choice I've got in this spot. 9, 10, 6, and 8. Get some spread coverage in here. And again, race 1 looks like you need a few. Race 2 looks like you need a few. Definitely you can, I think, narrow race number 3 down to the 3 and the 6. A lot of people are going to single the 6. I think the bold move would be to single the 3. in there, and then try to get some more coverage here in race number 4. So let's move ahead to race number 5, and race number 5 is going to kick off the final pick 6 of the meet here at Keeneland. The Keeneland Turf pick 3 also begins in this race, and this is the first of my 3 key plays on the card. So while we were spreading in some of those other races, maybe we can just lock down here. If we spread in 1, 2, and 4 and go too deep in race number 3, how about a potential single in this spot at 8-1 in the morning line? That might get us home. The winner here for me is going to be number 7, Operation Torch. 8-1 in the morning line, but as you look at the other public handicappers in here, it doesn't feel like an 8-1 proposition. Scott's got him on top. I've got him on top, and also the top pick in here for Kim. So Tom's got the horse pick second. We're not getting 8-1 if that's the case. If we all look at the race all the same way, the public's going to follow in some respects into that same sort of camp in here. Number 9, Mount Horeb is the 5-2 morning line favorite in this spot. Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffleone teaming up there. Again, Walsh has a chance. He's got, 5 on the card today? Probably the best chance to win the training title. Comes in tied with Steve Asmussen on the program for the final program, 1 ahead of Brad Cox. And this is one of the better chances, probably Mount Oreb in here, number 9, the charge for Brendan Walsh. I've got it 7-9-12, bite and strike for Bill Mott, coming off a nice win at Ellis Park last time out. Mott doesn't run a lot of his good ones at Ellis Park in the summer. They'd be at Saratoga if they were the ones who belong at Saratoga. But this 3-year-old gelding by Liam's Map did improve last time out in August. We'll see coming in fresh under Pratt. I thought against this field matched up fairly nicely. Keep an eye on the also eligibles in here because the 16 really interests me in here. Hiding in Honduras for Jonathan Thomas. Debut winner at Presque Isle. Like the pedigree here. Like a lot about this horse coming here and trying the turf here at Keeneland. So Hiding in Honduras, the 16 would be one I would consider if they draw in. But for me, it's Operation Torch. Why do I like this horse so much? Coming on a second off the layoff situation for trainer Jimmy Toner, the veteran. This horse won the second career start right here over this turf course. Second start of the form cycle. We're repeating that. Again, if you go back to the career debut at Gulfstream, then second start of the form cycle was a 1.125 turf win right here at Keeneland. And then you look at the second time coming second off the layoff. In the 2024 debut in May, ran a good second, came back and ran a third and ran almost the identical number. There was no drop-off whatsoever from the first to the second start. In the career debut, the horse got better in the second career start. So I think second off the layoff is a very good third-time form cycle here for the Jimmy Toner trainee, making the second start of 2025. Operation Torch going to be my key play here. Big key play. We're going to need to get this one home as we're spreading in some of the other legs. So 7 over the 9, 12, and 16. Those are the horses I would work in underneath the 7. But a bold single in here at 8-1 in the morning line in race number 5. And we're going to start the pick 6 in the Keeneland Turf pick 3. 8-1 in the morning line. But okay, what are we talking fair odds in this particular spot? 7-2, 4-1, probably more realistic. I don't think the horse is going to be bet down, even with 3 of the 4 public handicappers. I don't think we're looking at a horse who's, 2-1, 9-5. But you could be getting 7-2, 4-1. And I think that's a fair price. I like the horse enough as a key play on the card. 7-2, 4-1, fair odds for me. Below that, then you have to start worrying, okay, am I getting undervalued in this particular spot? If the 8-1 in the morning line sticks, then we're obviously very, very happy because I would take the horse down to less than half of that. 3.5-1, 7-2 would be the bottom end of what I'm looking for. Let's go now to race number 6, the first of our stakes races on the program. This is the Bowman Mill 6-furlong sprint for the 2-year-old colts. We had the 2-year-old fillies sprinting in the Myrtlewood Stakes today. That winner came off a Churchill Downs maiden special weight win for Ian Wilkes. A field of 7 were entered in this race, or was entered in this race but we are down to 6. Outfielder number 3 is going to scratch in here. Marcus Hirsch of the Racing Form reporting this yesterday. But outfielder will come out of this race for Wesley Ward, headed to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. So good reason to drop out of here, head into Del Mar and run for the big money. So good luck to outfielder, who was a winner earlier in the meet, October 4th here at Keeneland. We'll be certainly pulling for that one amongst the local charges representing us out at the Breeders' Cup. Now, Wesley Ward is not without a hand to play in here, though. And he's got my top choice in here, number 1, Hartley. Hartley was a horse who ran opening weekend, the second day of the meet on Saturday. And if you remember opening weekend, no horse won wire to wire the first day. No horse won wire to wire the entire second day until we got the last race on the card. and heartily ran off the screen down the stretch and really was impressive over a track that wasn't flattering that kind of running style. Let's go back and take a look at Hartley's victory earlier in the meet. This is the second day of the meet, the final race in the card, and boy, does he finish strong.
Hartley is the leader by a length and a half. Telecaster gives chase in second by a length. Helmet of Will third, trying to scoot up the inside with a quarter mile to go, but has to catch Hartley. And now Helmet of Will switches off the rail, comes up to the outside to challenge. Steel Golden is running late. Boonesboro, Circle Me. Steel Golden coming down the center of the track. 7 lengths behind the lead, though, of Hartley. And Hartley in front by a 6-length margin at the 16th pole. It is Hartley for John Velasquez, his 5th win on this card. Late run from Liberty Valance to challenge at the wire for second, but no catching Hartley.
That was one of 5 wins that day for John Velasquez on false start Saturday. He's had 12 for the meet and 7 of them mistakes that we talked about. This could be the one. If Hartley wins, that would be the 8th stakes win in the meet for John Velasquez, breaking Pat Day's record. As we said, he tied Pat Day's record today for most stakes win in a meet ever at Keeneland. They've been running here since the mid-1930s. So 90 years of Keeneland racing. Nobody's won more stakes races in a meet than John Velasquez and Pat Day. I think the Day record dated back to 1998, so more than a quarter century ago. Hartley, the horse for me, I think that's going to try to take him wire to wire from the inside off of that really good effort. 5 challengers in this race include Spun DMC. That horse is the morning line favorite set by Nick Tamero. 9-5 in the morning line for trainer Randy Morse, coming off a fast win at Churchill Downs in 109 and change. But there have been handicappers chasing horses out of this Spun DMC race all meet at Keeneland. Everybody thought the race was a live wire. I think we had 1 winner out of it, but several that were overbet and did not come back and fire. I don't know what Spun DMC beat in that race, and that's no knock on the horse, but I can't take too short of a price if everybody's going to over-conflate that particular start. Spun DMC with an 86 Beyer speed figure in that race at Churchill Downs. Now, an interesting horse in here is Gallivant. Gallivant ran on the same card as Hartley in a slower race. They went or in a faster race, but got beat 2 1/4 lengths by Local Knowledge. So it was a faster race, but maybe not as good a performance from Gallivant. But the speed figures might tell you a different story. Gallivant got an 89 Beyer speed figure in that particular spot. As for Hartley, it was a 77. So the value in this race could be with Gallivant as well. Gallivant 7-2 in the morning line. Both Hartley and Gallivant running back second time at the meet. Again, as I started, that's why I kind of started at the top of the show talking about these run backs. We used to see it happen so much more often at Keeneland, but now on this final card, there are so many live horses running back second time at the meet, I think, on paper. I'll be interested to see if we don't get 2 or 3 of them home in this on this program. Hartley, Gallivant, both horses coming out of races earlier in the meet who look very live in this particular spot. Of course, Spun DMC maybe goes as the favorite in here. We'll see how the public ends up betting this Spun DMC. 9-5 in the morning line, 5-2 on Hartley, 7-2 on Gallivant in the morning line. Let's see how the other handicappers approach this race, the Bowman Mill Stakes, race number 6. Tom turned in his picks early, and outfielder not officially scratched yet, but Tom may end up with Gallivant. We'll have to see how he updates his selections. Spun DMC picked on top by Scott. Kim and I on the right side, both going with Hartley over Gallivant over Spun DMC. 1-6-5, the way Kim and I are going. I hope she's right about that, and I'll be happy to tag along. Hartley, my top choice in here, but I would definitely want to use 2. 1 and 6 I want to use for sure. I could see using the third horse in here, Spun DMC, in race number 6, as you take a look at the multi-race wagers. That is the Bowman Mill Stakes, 6th on the card, starts the late pick 5. Again, I go 2 deep, maybe 3 deep in this particular spot. Even though it's only a 6-horse field after the scratch, I think you'll want to get some coverage. We've got some key plays to come still, so maybe we can spread our wings a little bit in the races where we feel like we need to. To race number 7, we go next. The 7th race on the card kicks off the late pick 4. Just a field of 8 in here as we get set for Allowance Company going 1 1/8 on the main track. And in race number 7, I'm going with the 6-horse in here, Paris Lily. This is a favorite at 2-1 in the morning line, where Brendan Walsh might be right in that thick of locking down or pulling away or needing a win in the race for leading trainer. This could be one of the races that determine it. One of Brad Cox's starters in the card. Yes, it is also entered in this spot. We've got Walsh with the 6, Cox with the 8 in this particular race. Paris Lily makes a significant drop in class. She is a 3-year-old in here, and as you look across the way, They're all 3-year-olds in this particular spot. She's coming out of graded stakes. Some of the 3-year-olds in here have faced elders in recent starts. Nerazzurri, for instance, coming up from Florida, raced in the Princess Rooney last time out against Hall and Ice and company. I mean, that's a Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint prep race down there against elders. So while this is a race with all 3-year-olds in that, when you see that arrow 3 and up, and then those horses come back in against regular straight 3-year-olds like this, it's actually a pretty significant drop in class for the ones who have been taking on older horses sometimes. Yes, it is beat older horses at Churchill in the most recent start as well. But Paris Lily, to me, coming out of the Black-Eyed Susan, the Delaware Oaks, the Monmouth Oaks, those were good races. And over the track here at Keeneland, I know it was in the slot, but a winner in the only start here by City of Lights. City of Lights had a nice meet, this meet at Keeneland as well. As, I think it's, I've got this thing up right now. City of Lights had 3 winners on the main track here so far at the meet, and they've won from anywhere from 7 furlongs to a mile and a 16th. So here we go to the mile and an 1/8 trip. Paris Lily, to me, the class of the race, the one to beat. She's the morning line favorite, deservedly so. Nerazzurri, though, the 2, I'm not sure about the 9 furlongs, but I do like the class. I don't think there's a lot of speed around the 1, the 3, the 4 don't want to go anywhere. The 5's not that fast. Nor is the outside 2. So to me, it's Nerazzurri and Paris Lily kind of controlling the pace throughout here. And sometimes you get that in these races at a mile and an 1/8 where nobody wants to go cooking out of there, and they're going to kind of go milk it around and go slow around the track. Other factor in here is both Ortiz brothers ride the 2 speed horses. And anybody who's watched those 2 ride against each other over the years knows they don't do it at the other's detriment. You know, I don't think they're going to go attack each other in this particular spot. When they have the 2 lone speed horses, I think they're going to take care of each other and let the best one win from the head of the stretch in, but they're not going to go running off in crazy fractions if they can resist that. If the horse will allow them and relax, the Ortiz brothers are not going to go after each other in a big pace duel. I just don't see that happening very often. So 6 Paris Lily, the 2 Nerazzurri. I think those 2 kind of control the pace throughout in here. I've got it 6 and 2. Now, Scott's also got the 6 on top. Yes, it is. Top choice in here for Tom. And Kim is going with the 3, Sweet Serafina, in this particular spot, coming off a race in this Catherine Sophia Stakes last time out at Churchill Downs. Cherie DeVoe, the trainer there. Cherie had a big winner 2 days ago, not today, but the day before. And I thought her barn was really going to come back, and I was all in on one of her runners today. And just kind of hung and didn't do much in running second. Kind of a disappointing second for that DeVoe comebacker today. Let's move to the 8th race. Next up, it's the Bryan Station Stakes, and the 8th on the card is the second of 3 stakes and also the second leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. So race number 8 here, the 1 mile Bryan Station for $600,000. I mean, you talk about races whose profile has risen in recent years. No question about it with the Bryan Station Stakes. This feels more like a $200,000 race that suddenly has become a $600,000 race. And we got a pretty good field for it this year, no question about it. We've been talking about the sire, Not This Time, and all the success he's had at the current meet. 8 winners on the turf for Not This Time. Got another one here this week and has 1 winner on the turf as well, or on the dirt as well this meet. So 9 winners sired by Not This Time. Got a win today, the Chad Brown trainee. We were on there were 2 Not This Times in the race today. We were on the one that didn't win. Chad won with the other. It's just kind of the way everything we did today just went, reverse image in the mirror. Everything that we wanted to do, something different happened. But the Not This Times have been absolutely phenomenal. Really one of the big stories of the meet here at Keeneland in the fall. Problem is, in this 12-horse field of the Bryan Station, there are 7 Not This Times running in this stakes race. Unbelievable to have any stakes, a graded stakes for $600,000 at that, where 7 of the entrants are all by the same sire. And not a sire like that you walked into the campaign and said, oh, this is clearly a great turf sire, right? It's not like we're going back to, this isn't, Johar or some Breeders' Cup turf winner. I mean, Not This Time has gotten horses on either surface. Of course, Not This Time is a son of Giants Causeway, and Giants Causeway is the kind of turf sire that you would expect to throw out big numbers in a stakes race, but even 7 would be amazing for Giants Causeway. Phenomenal. Which one of the Giants Causeways might you like in this race? Might be the way to look at the Bryan Station. Here's how I see it. I've got one of them on top. Of course, it's Final Gambit in here. Also the top pick for Tom. Scott's got the 4 in here, Troubleshooting. The 8, Tenacious Leader, picked on top by Kim. All of us going with an offspring of Not This Time. We didn't go with one of the 5 Not This Times in this particular race. And there are some decent options in this race that aren't sired by Not This Time. Simulates by Kitten's Joy, coming off a Secretariat second place finish a couple starts back. That kind of matches that one up really good with Giacoso in here, who is one of the Not This Times. But I went with the 5. Why did I go with Final Gambit? Brisk late pace figures. I look at this race that there's a decent amount of speed in this race for sure. And this race historically has been very kind to horses cutting back in distance. Horses who have been running longer and shorten the trip. And so when you get horses like that, you're looking for a shortened trip here to a mile. And Final Gambit has been running farther and showing some closing kick, but not enough to get there. Not that turn of foot to get there in the long races because the paces are slower. Sometimes horses like that need a shorter distance so that the pace is sharper, and then they can rally into a sharper pace, because closers need pace as much as they need distance. Just because the race goes longer doesn't mean a come from behind horse is going to be any better. They need pace in front of them to come back to them. And I think we can get that here in the Bryan Station. And history says the last 9 editions of this race that we have in our database since this race was brought back to the stake schedule, there are 9 of them in our database. 7 of the 9 winners were horses who cut back in distance, which means they ran farther last time than they are in this race. So I'm looking for cut back horses in this particular spot. Final Gambit has tremendous brisk late pace figures. That's a number I really trust. In races where I'm looking for finishers, I want to consult the brisk PPs as often as I can to see which one of these horses might have the best late pace figure. It's a Final Gambit in this particular spot, so he's my pick. 5, 1, and 8. Macero's another one in here I've got respect for. Cutting back in distance. Macero's a horse who's run over the track once and has a win over the track as well. Final Gambit may be better on poly track like he showed, or Tapeta, as he showed at Turfway in the spring. That might be the truth, what it's all said and done. But I've been waiting for him to get in one of these shorter mile on a 16 type races that had some pace about it to see what he can do with the target in front of him. Brad Cox, he's going for that training title. This is one of his options on the program. We'll see if he can get it done in here. Final Gambit going to be my choice in here in the Bryan Station Stakes. Again, as for the other handicappers in the Bryan Station, Tenacious Leader, top pick on top for Kim. And Scott's going with the 4 in here, Troubleshooting. I've got it 5, 1, and 8. I would certainly consider using all 3 of them. The 8, Tenacious Leader, ridden by John Velasquez, again going for that stakes record. A horse running back, second time at the meet. Already won at the meet for Todd Pletcher back on opening Saturday on the undercard on Fall Star Saturday. 12 to 1 on the 8, Tenacious Leader. You could certainly get a bite of that at that kind of price. Final Gambit's 5 to 1 in the morning line. 20 to 1 on Macero. Big number there. And I think the horse is legit. So again, horses turning back in distance. All 3 of those went farther than a mile last time. They all trimmed the trip. They're all by Not This Time. 5, 1, and 8, the way I'm going to attack in the Bryan Station Stakes. That's race number 8 on the card. And that is the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 middle leg. Let's see what we can do about getting some prices in on that one. Couple key plays left here on the meet as we hit the final 2 races of this 17-day season. Race number 9 is the Fayette. That's our final key play on the card and the final stakes of the season. Fayette, 1 mile and an 1/8 on the main track. Earlier this year, Hit Show, a horse we're familiar with, winning this race last year, won one of the biggest races in the world.
And it is Mixto who goes up to challenge Walk of Stars. Forever Young has a mighty task ahead of him. Wilson Tesoro goes with him in 3rd and 4th. Hit Show running on from the back, but it's Mixto who hits the lead here with 150 metres left to go. Mixto for Doug O'Neill and Frankie Dettori. Hit Show out when it's all too late. Look at Hit Show right over the top. Hit Show for Florent Giroux and Brad Cox in the Dubai World Cup. Wins in spectacular fashion. Mixtos.
Now, what kind of performance do we expect out of a Dubai World Cup winner coming back in Grade 3 company? You might expect him to be in the Breeders' Cup Classic, right? And running for $7 million in a week's time. But trainer Brad Cox not sending Hit Show against the big boys after running fourth to Mystic Dan in the Lucas Classic. Maybe they could have considered cutting back to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Not there as well. So here they are in the Fayette Stakes running for $350,000 after a campaign where they've already earned $7.2 million. Hit Show certainly the name in the field, no question about it. He's got the credentials over the racetrack. He gets Irad Ortiz, leading jockey at the meet, to be aboard. There's a lot there, but can he get back to that Fayette form that he had last year? He's kind of been up and down this year. He won the West Virginia Governor's Stakes. Wasn't a particularly strong edition of that race on the West Virginia Derby Day undercard. He wasn't a factor against top-class horses in the Stephen Foster. So since that Dubai World Cup, he hasn't really shaking it up. And also, we haven't seen a horse win back-to-back in the Fayette since 1969, 70, and 71. If you guessed Royal Harmony, you're even better at trivia than I am, but it's been a long time since we've seen a repeat winner in the Fayette Stakes. It's not a very confident move to me for Hit Show to be in this spot. Again, a horse who's made $7 million this year. If he was doing great, you would expect him to be somewhere in the Breeders' Cup. Maybe they're being more realistic and know he doesn't fit there. And why go out to California to run ninth in a very tough Breeders' Cup Classic? I get that, but that doesn't mean we don't have options in this particular race, and I don't want to concede this race to Hit Show. So while he's the name in the field, I think there's some better options in here from a gambling standpoint. I'll consider him. I would use him as the fifth best option maybe in this race. Price-wise, we'll have to see what the public does. Bracket Buster is the morning line favorite, coming off a nice win in the Oklahoma Derby last time. He's a horse who's kind of progressive here a little bit later in the year. We saw him in the Lexington Stakes run second back in the spring meet for Vicky Oliver. That last race at Remington Park, he was really in charge of that throughout. Heavily favored in that race, and coming off the Travers second place finish, 10 lengths behind Sovereignty, he really stood out in the Oklahoma Derby. But you get John Velazquez aboard Bracket Buster for Vicky Oliver. Again, Johnny V, he's got three really good stakes mounts on this card. All three are potential live winners, and he needs one to break that record set by Pat Day. I think he'll get it somewhere. I'm not sure if it's this one. I'm hoping it's with Hartley in the Bowman Mill because I've got that one picked on top. But Bracket Buster's certainly a major contender in here. There's a lot of pace in this race, surprisingly, for 9 furlongs on the main. Bracket Buster definitely wants to be up into that mix early on. Dilger wants to show speed in this particular race. Some of the horses to the outside, Prince of Power has speed. Dragoon Guard is very fast for Brad Cox. Gosger's usually not too far off of it when he runs some of his best races. So I think there's pace in here. Who can finish, okay? We know a come-from-behind horse Hit Show. That style would suit him for sure. But there's another one in here at a much better price, 8-1 in the morning line, Moonlight, that I want to talk about because that's my pick in here. I think Moonlight stepping up into the stakes ranks here for a good trainer and Chris Block has a big chance in this spot. This is a horse who last time out at Churchill won an allowance company. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts dating back to March. And the brisk late pace figures for Moonlight are outstanding. You get Tyler Gaffleone, obviously one of the top Keeneland jocks of the last decade, second in the standings this meet. The brisk late pace figures are 105, 97, 100, 105. There are some big numbers thrown up on the board by Moonlight and in really good form right now. Has the one career start at Keeneland. That was a third-place finish, beaten a length and a half back in October. Horse who beat him, Generous Tipper, came back today for Kenny McPeak. A horse who had been in Dubai over the course of the winter came back today to win very nicely from off the pace. So Moonlight's one third-place finish here at Keeneland was behind a horse who really likes the track here in Generous Tipper. I give Moonlight a big shot in here. I've got it 5, 10, 3, and 9. As the main players for me in this particular spot. Moonlight not picked anywhere by the other handicappers. We're on an island despite only being 8-1. I think we're going to get an overlay and a good value play. Gosger, plenty of respect for the Preakness runner-up and his last race in the Pennsylvania Derby. Some horses just do not fire at Parks. I'm hoping that's the case for him because his Haskell Pryor was good. His win in the Lexington was really nice here in the spring when he and Bracket Buster ran 1-2. Gosger with a shot in here gets, in 8 pounds lighter than what Hit Show carries. I mean, Hit Show carrying 126 and conceding 8 pounds to Bracket Buster and Gosger. That's a lot of weight over a mile and an eighth. So Hit Show better be really better than these horses in order to give 8 pounds to some of these 3-year-olds. So 5, 10, 3, and 9, the way I'm going to go in the main event. Scott does give Hit Show the top spot. in his picks. Everybody else uses Hit Show along the way. I think I'll run okay in here, but I think we've got some better options. So let's go for that. As for the 3-year-olds taking on older horses, I did look this up. We have not had a 3-year-old win the Fayette and beat the older horses since Blame in 2009. Remember, Blame the next year is a 4-year-old, won the Breeders' Cup Classic. He was a really good 3-year-old. Prior to that, the only other 3-year-old in the last 30 years plus to win this race was Arch in 1998. And, of course, Arch went out of that race to go run in the Breeders' Cup Classic for Claiborne Farm and Company in that thrilling 1998 Breeders' Cup Classic that featured Skip Away, Silver Charm. It was won by Awesome Again. Many say the greatest race ever run on American soil, the 1998 Breeders' Cup Classic that included Arch, who was one of the only 2 3-year-olds to win the Fayette Stakes over the last 30 years of racing. So that's a look at our third stakes feature on this closing day card. Let's go to the final race of the program, final race of the racing season here at Keeneland. Toyota Super High Five with a carryover to play at there. What did we say the carryover? 23,000, something like that. I have it on a sheet somewhere that I can't find the sheet. Carryover for the Super High Five. Yeah, 23,280 going into the last race. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is going to wrap up here. My final key play of the card. Do you think I'd leave you without one more shot at Not This Time? Let's go to the outside here. Not This Time is the sire of Epic Horsepower and the 7 Royal Causeway. Both have big-time shots in this race. We're going 1 mile and an eighth. This is the split division turf race for those 2-year-olds. Not This Time's meet has been spectacular, mostly achieved with 2-year-olds, turfers, and what do we have here? 2-year-old turfers. So this is a big chance in here to finish. 7 and 12 are going to be my 2 key players in here, and we're going to work them as best we can around some of the main players in this race. But Epic Horsepower to 12, my top choice in here. Brian Lynch trainee comes off a 3rd at Kentucky Downs last time out. The runner-up has already come back to win. Full Effort came back earlier this week and ran big. So this is a horse coming out of a very key race. Epic Horsepower to 12. Key play on the program here to wrap things up for me. 9-2 in the morning line. I would take that. I would take this horse down to solid favoritism, in fact. I mean, Chamberville, the 1, the horses from Aqueduct, Saratoga, some fire, some don't. The Kenny McPeak trainee comes off a 2nd beat in the nose at Saratoga, and you might say the 1 Chambersville, well, that ought to be a standout race. But the winner that day was Behold the King, a horse for Mark Cassie, who had already run 3 times at Colonial Downs in Virginia, albeit they were 2nd place finishes. But after not breaking your maiden 3 times at Colonial, to go win in New York at Aqueduct and break your maiden, I don't know if that was the strongest maiden race on the planet that day when Chambersville ran 2nd beat in the nose. But is Kenny McPeak riding, or Kenny McPeak gets Irad Ortiz Jr. to ride? If Kenny McPeak was riding, we definitely would not like Chambersville. But with Irad Ortiz riding, that's a little bit different story. Kenny training does just fine. We just don't need him in silks. Chambersville in here is a horse I'm going to try to beat, though, in this spot, 7-2 in the morning line as the favorite. 12, 6, 7, 8, and then the 1 underneath as some option. Number 6, Triton, is one for Danny Gargan, who got no help whatsoever at Saratoga in terms of the pace when trying to rally in the career debut. Just brutally slow fractions that day over a firm turf course. So the Pletcher horse who won that race, Sunrise, came back and ran a dull 7th next time out in the Laurel Futurity, but did have traffic in that race. So I'm not sure who Sunrise really is after the debut win and then the poor effort in the Laurel Futurity. Again, there was some traffic in that race at Maryland when the winner came back, Sunrise. But the 6 Triton certainly looks like a horse you can consider in this race. The 7 is the other horse in here, Royal Causeway, by Not This Time. Does have 2 starts under the belt, 1 on the turf at Kentucky Downs, a rallying 4th. Last time out, just kind of an even Steven 5th after not breaking well in that one in the slop on a race that was rained off. Also had some trouble in that race. So Royal Causeway could certainly bounce back with the return to turf. Mile and an eighth looks very good for this horse based on the past running lines. There doesn't look to be any stamina issues with the Dallas Stewart trainee. So Royal Causeway a consideration here. But give me the 12 over the 6, 7, 8, 1, and I'm going to really try to hook the 12 up in here. Epic Horsepower, to me, the one to go with on the way out for the meet. Last race on the card, we've got 4 handicappers, 4 different horses picked on top, 4, 5, 6, and 12. Nobody taking the 7-2 morning line favorite. So good gambling to be had in the 10th and final race. Well, I hope you enjoyed the podcast throughout the season. We went a little bit longer tonight than usual, too much yakking, but it's fun to do these, and I hope that you have learned something out of them that will not only help you with Keeneland, but also as a horse player wherever you go next, whether you move your tack to Churchill Downs next, or you play tracks around the country, Southern California or Florida or New York or wherever you like to play in your own backyard. I mean, I grew up going to tracks like Charlestown and Penn National. So if you're a fan of racing out there, you don't have to play all the blue bloods all the time. There is great racing to be had out there and great ways to learn about horse racing from other players out there. If you'd like to keep in touch as the meet ends here, be sure to sign up for my Substack. This is a free publishing software where I send out a newsletter. During Keeneland, it's every day during the rest of the year, once, twice a week at least, checking in with thoughts about different races around the country, some carryovers that come up and horses we might be looking at various tracks and promotions and things like that. So be sure to sign up for that. There'll be a lot of great Breeders' Cup information as well. JeremyPlonk.substack.com. Really had a lot of fun doing this with you guys this year. I'll be back tomorrow around 11 noon to update the picks and everything that happens after scratches and changes with a quick video live tomorrow morning before the first race, and that 11 to 12 o'clock hour usually about when we go live with that on X for at Keeneland Racing and at Horseplayer Now. Really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the Keeneland meet. We all have our ups and downs playing. We had some good days. We had some bad days. Hopefully we finish it with a good one on Saturday. On behalf of everybody with Keeneland, thank you so much for having me back for a 35th consecutive meet. Make an old guy feel good that you're wanted sometimes. So we will be back, God willing, back in the spring meet. But let's finish up with a strong day on Saturday. Good luck, everybody.